Ready? It is 4:33 on Thursday, May 23rd, 2019. I call this meeting of the Meridian Historic Preservation Commission to order. Roll call. Blaine Johnson's here. Don Cronk.
Here.
Josh Everts. Jody Yelt.
Present.
J.C. Neri.
Here.
Courtney McBride. Councilman Ty Palmer. Adoption of the agenda.
Mr. President,
Commissioner Neri.
I move we adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Neri, seconded by Commissioner Cronk to adopt the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of minutes, March 28, 2019.
I'm sorry, I printed, these are old.
I'm
ones that I
reading the
printed.
paper, not the screen.
So the-
April
yeah, the-
April 11th,
Yeah,
2019 special meeting.
minutes. I printed that and realized we already approved those.
Mr. President, if there weren't any additions or changes, I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Neri, seconded by Commissioner Cronk for approval of the April 11, 2019 special meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of the monthly financial statement.
Apparently, I forgot to link your financial statement, so you guys don't have to make the approval on it. It also doesn't say action item for some reason, but I can take you to your statement so you can see it all the same. It will take but a moment. So your only expense, or I guess since your last meeting, you've actually had a few expenses. So you have these A1 stamps are for new commissioner name tags. So we need to rectify that expense. Those weren't pre-approved. And then Specialty Construction created a sign for you guys for Pine Street School directional signage. And then you have the calendar expense that you have to rectify as well. That was 25 calendars that we are offering today for the walking tour. And then we had professional photos taken of the old City Hall, the old bank building, the old Unbound, so 713 and 703 Main Street before those were demolished. All of these April ones are new for you. And then we also got Greg Browning to take photos of four different barns, but it was only a total of like 5 photos, or maybe it was 3 different barns. Anyway, it was only 5 photos, so he only charged us $50, which was generous of him.
Nice.
And so those were again taken in light of wanting to get the calendar completed in full before today. We actually have had quite a few expenses.
So we have $200 to Whitetail.
Correct? Yes. You have $20 to A1 stamp. $205 to Specialty Construction. And about $610 to, that was charged on a MasterCard, so through a MasterCard statement for the calendars.
09 for calendars.
And like I said, you guys, I didn't notice this saying action item, so I will just bring back a full statement to your next meeting, notice it as action item, and you guys can approve it all then. So sorry to delay that, those approvals further.
That's fine.
Anyway, onward and upward.
So HPC has a remaining available budget of about $6,000.
This came back because we never had the conversation. It was an old agenda item that the whole commission never got to approve. I think I discussed it just with you, Blaine, to make
Yes.
sure I could submit it to finance, but HPC didn't have a chance to approve it yet. So these are the proposed line items that Blaine had already reviewed that we submitted to finance. But we can change the line item amounts, just not the total amount down here. There were a couple of projects that came up that you guys might want to consider fitting in for this year, or that you could consider, other project that you could consider moving up from what was planned for 2020, so that you could do like a pass forward type of expense. So I just want you guys to be able to have this discussion together.
So what was the Pine Street School signage?
Sorry, so that is unfortunate, the order of this. I had to put it as new business because we hadn't talked about it for a while. So Pine Street School signage, you guys had asked if you could get permission from ACHD to print a fancy branded MDC type of sign, and they said no to that. But you guys had said that we should ask MDC if we could do banners. So I have since asked MDC for their permission to explore that, and they said that we have their consent to pursue that project. The design component of those banners was estimated at about $1,500. That's just to get the same team that developed the other branded items to basically create a new design of the Pine Street School building that could be printed on a banner. So the first step is getting that created and approved by MDC, and then most likely City Council, just so that they know that you guys are engaged in that process.
And the banner would go where?
The banners, so on the street lights, we
Yes.
have the branded banners. So it would basically be added into the rotation of those banners.
Okay.
So it's not a super time-sensitive thing. But it would basically be, it would help break up the other existing building banners. So for things that have a priority, like time-sensitive nature, like the market or Christmas in Meridian or something like that, they might be taken down and replaced with some of those during seasonal events. But it would essentially just add more visibility to that asset that we have in downtown.
I guess my thought is I'd rather do it that way than fight ACHD with a street sign.
ACHD already said no to
I
it,
know.
so it's not an option. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's not even an option. So,
So thoughts on a banner?
Mr. President, I think the banner might be the only option
I
that
think,
we
I think, I think it is
I
too.
feel like so I think that's it.
I think it's a done thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's unfortunate we can't do a directional sign, but that's okay. We'll do banners and brand it, and it'll look just like the rest of Main Street area does, and probably we'll move, I guess, further east in the future too.
Move
so-
further east, and then I think we just asked MDC that when they put that banner out, make sure it's close to Pine Street School.
Right.
Good with that.
Is that a possibility, Hillary?
yeah, I think that we would end up printing probably not just one banner. I think we would print,
A couple?
I don't know how much they would recommend. MDC would probably guide that amount. I would guess it would probably be a dozen or so, because there's probably a good 50 of them, 50 or 60 positions out there. So maybe like 10 of Pine Street School, and then they'll definitely probably orient some near Pine Street School. But you can tell that this, I don't think that this estimate includes, oh no, it does include the banners printing. So that was just kind of a shot in the dark to give you guys something to print some banners with. $1,200, closer to July. If you guys are in favor of it moving forward at all, I'll just I can connect with Trademark and have them bring or prepare some designs to present to you guys. And I can figure out the total that would be purchased from Mike in the meantime as well.
So we get a total for design and printing? Or is it gonna be?
I want you to just approve one at a time, because
Okay.
right now, we don't have approval, like, from MDC to even print them. What they might say, no, go back and design more, and then that might be a further design expense on you guys. So I'm just trying to estimate how much you might have. This is an ideal scenario if you don't have to go back and do further design work. I would estimate that it would be about $3,000 total to complete that project, but
Do we want to not to exceed 3,000 for design and printing with approval of MDC?
I think we want to do them as two separate motions. I think we'd want to do the Pine Street banner design, not to exceed 1,500, and then do a second one for the printing.
you can wait for the printing one until closer to it.
And let's just proceed with the design element of the sign. Banner.
Sounds good.
Okay. Design moving forward. Does this general breakdown of expenses seem to fit? Does this cover all the projects you guys had expected for the rest of this fiscal year? That was my other heavy concern, was I don't want to exclude anything.
Mr. President,
Ms. Neri?
are we still pursuing a nomination of the Hungry Onion or the Speedway?
Yes.
So are either of those going to require consulting costs?
I think they will, but I don't know if they'll be, I don't know if we can plan for FY19. They've been moving so slowly.
I think it's probably going to be an FY 2020.
Okay. So then there's nothing else on my radar that we were pursuing besides these projects.
There is a possibility to pursue National Register consultation prior to FY20. Is there something else that's already listed on here that might be a lower priority than the National Register nominations?
I don't know that I'm going to go to pass, or would like to go to pass forward this year, so we have that budget amount.
Would like to go to pass?
Would not.
Okay.
Mr. President, I guess in my opinion, everything is secondary to the register nominations. Only because I think that's like top of the list of what
It
it is
is.
we're supposed to be doing. So if something magical happened and the owners of those properties contacted us and we're ready to move forward, I would say we bump everything, and
Yep.
that's just completely my thought, only because I think that's really what our charge is.
That's what we're tasked to do.
Yeah.
That's true.
Not saying that I don't love all of these other projects too, but.
So then, Hillary, do we need a motion for the 1,500?
Yeah.
Mr. President,
Ms. Ault?
I move that we look into designing the Pine Street banners not to exceed $1,500.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Alt, seconded by Commissioner Neri for expenditure or approval of design of banners not to exceed $1,500. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then we'll just see where the budget lays and what else comes out. Okay?
Did you guys want to, at the moment, are you okay with the current, what finance had received for the FY20 HPC line items? Like I said, those can be adjusted, but right now,
As long as we stay within the 14.4, like I said, we can move stuff around as 2020 goes through. Because that is our budget, so we just have to work with our budget.
Biggest changes, I think, were reducing the student initiative budget. Was, I think, in the past 500 or something larger. So that was reduced, I think, to make more room for the National Register nominations. And we might have clarified a couple other things in there. So if the rest of the commission is okay with this as is today, we can move forward. I just want to make sure you all had a chance to see it since it hadn't been back on the agenda yet.
Mr. President?
Ms. Neri?
I'm okay with the budget amount. There's a couple of things on here, not for this meeting, just because we don't have a lot of time, but I'm wondering about certain items on here and if it's something that is being, like, if we're like on the record, so that's fun. So there's our walking tour app. I'm wondering if it gets enough hits to continue to maintain that. I know that we just nominated it and stuff, but I think when we looked last, I don't know if anybody besides like our group is using it. So it just might be a thought for maybe next fiscal year. I don't know how long that contract is or what we can do to promote that, because if we're gonna kick $1,000 at it, I would love it to get more use. So I don't know what we need to change maybe in how we target that so that it gets more use. That's the only thing on it that I like it, and I think it's a completely valuable tool. I just don't know how we connect it to the community.
And I thought, and I'd have to go double check with Commissioner Everts, but I thought MDC was paying.
I thought they were too.
So MDC doesn't, but the Meridian Downtown Business Association does. So it's budgeted right now so that you guys don't have to do a budget amendment, but you could. So when they contribute, we could go back and say, in the past, you guys haven't used your full budget, so that's part of why it's been budgeted in there. But if you guys are looking like you're going to be doing 2 National Register nominations, got a lot going on, I can go before council and say, hey, MDBA contributed $500 towards our walking tour app, and we'd like to apply that to other line items within our.
Okay, yeah, that works.
Okay. So that is $500 though that you potentially have that you could wiggle around. Yeah,
Okay,
We do need to promote it more, though.
yeah.
agreed. But then also you could consider using some of that towards promoting the app itself. Yeah. Okay, we can discuss at another future meeting if you'd like to dig
Yep.
into it more. I think those were the 2 big things for me for that one.
Okay, so we'll go on to old business for student competition.
I would say we just continue that.
Yeah.
I haven't heard back from Courtney at all. Any proposed ideas? So until she's
Okay.
back.
And then Pine Street School signage,
This was looped into the other budget discussion.
right.
So we did get approval. I did mention MDC, but we also did already get approval from Parks to include that as far as they maintain and they place all those banners. So they said that they could include that in their rotation pretty easily.
Okay,
When I made you guys have a higher estimate here, but they said between 14 and 16, so 15 makes sense. So I think you're good on that one.
okay. Current applications, Wagner Farms.
Yeah, I wanted to provide you guys with a brief update on Wagner Farms. The staff report came out today, actually, and also you had asked me to have Greg Browning take pictures of Wagner Farms. He went out there, and we coordinated, and they said, yeah, come on out, and then they asked if he would come back later in May. So I said that as long as they're not taking any buildings down between now and when they want you out, that's fine with me. They just had, like, off-season stuff sitting outside, so they wanted to clean it up so it looked a little better when he was taking pictures of it. So I said that was fine and that he can coordinate with them to go back out and take those pictures. And he's on top of that. As far as the staff report goes, the overall staff report recommended that their project continue to move forward. I did take note in here. I should have copied it on this other screen. Hold on. This area down here that they provide a project summary might be a good place for HPC to consider adding their like if you guys could get criteria in with planning or through development applications, this is where you guys might be able to weigh in or at least report back an impact or concern, even if there isn't something that's codifying an action from the applicant. You might be able to say, this proposed development impacts 2 historic buildings. We would love to see photos of those buildings. It might not mandate that they take those photos, but it could be a recommendation from staff during a staff report. If you guys, this is included in the project packet on laserfish, if you guys ever dig in and look into those. I just wanted to point that out and call it to your attention to see if you guys were interested in maybe talking to planning in that type of way to say maybe HPC just gets involved at the staff report level and not necessarily in the final decision making, but you could come through and say, you know, this is where they report on land use types, but you could say like historic impact, or you could call out comprehensive plan policies that relate to your guys' policies that are included there and make sure that those are being paid attention to at the planning level. So eventually, I think after the next meeting, we'll talk about committees. I'd like to find 2 people that would kind of spearhead that connection. Yeah, so Wagner Farms is moving forward, and photos will be taken before any buildings are taken down.
Do you have contact information on the Wagners that you could send me? Maybe, what I'd like to do is maybe get a little bit of history on the barn. If they have it, I can just email them to begin with, and then.
I'm sure it's included in their application packet somewhere. It's
I
not in the
didn't
staff
see any
report.
when I originally read it, but,
You could probably just call Wagner Farms. They've got 2 phone numbers on the Wagner Farms website. That's
Okay.
how I got a hold of them the first
Okay.
time for photos. I can go back and try to find which one I called.
I can look it up and.
Or I can find my email to Greg and forward that to you. That's
Okay.
what I'll do. And then, I don't know why it linked in the wrong place, but I had told you guys that I would provide you with the list of projects that I'd reached out to. So this was kind of that spreadsheet that I had put together. It's definitely not beautiful, but it kind of tracks through and shows ones that have numbers here were the original.
We're not seeing your spreadsheet.
Oh, God.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right.
Now you're seeing it.
Okay.
Okay. So some of them have Idaho Historic Site Inventory numbers, and some of them don't. The ones that have historic site inventory numbers were ones that were either eligible at the time that the inventory was done to be considered for a nomination, or they were already on the National Register. So most of those on the National Register we already had photos of because they're on the tour. So you can see all these that say walking tour property. Those are already complete. I don't quite know how I sorted this to get this PDF for you, but then others are public hearing properties that don't have historic site inventory numbers. And then there's just little minor notes. If I ever had someone's contact name and phone number, I was including that on the spreadsheet. Any notes that I had to do follow-up were included here. Some of them, this was the guy I had told you guys about. There was a fire at his property, and he wanted to donate photos. That's when we said to donate to the Historical Society rather than you guys. Other notes of that variety. And then there were some down here. These are the ones that you you guys may be most interested in following up on, that you guys had already expressed an interest in. Letters had been sent, but then we never heard from them. So they've probably received 2 letters at this point. This one here, we say HBC interested, it's the same property if you look at the address. I don't quite know why they were assigned 2 different numbers, but it might be because there are multiple structures. Yeah, and then you had other ones that were included from the historical sites inventory list, but that weren't approved a budget yet to explore. So those ones have no notes. So here, they have just, it says, there's like little stars, or it says maybe it wasn't a high priority at the time that you guys were first starting this photo project. So I think we've only really hit the high yeses, and then we have yet to explore the ones that were maybes or weren't already driven by to be checked on. I think that's what the stars were ones that Josh and his wife weren't able to even check out. And then we have a lot more than this that weren't eligible to be on the National Register, but that might still be interesting sites for you guys to take photos of. So this is really just ones that you guys have, in one way or another, talked about getting photos of. And that's what this spreadsheet tracks. So and most of them on here are done other than this section down below.
Is that available online for us to?
Through your packet, yeah. So I don't know
Okay.
why it didn't come up as a link under past projects follow-up. It came up under current applications. So you have to
Okay,
click applications link.
we can take a look at it. And
Yeah. And if you guys want, because I do keep track of the things that I try to keep track of the things that come through as development, public hearing type stuff, so that would obviously rise to the top. But if you guys want to just discuss this more in June or even July, you can discuss it more then. I don't think you have to make any decisions or anything.
yeah, we'll just, lack of a better term, table it, and we'll talk about it next
Yeah,
month.
perfect. And you guys could also bring your own suggestions. I think we might have talked about that before, but if you have other properties that you'd like to suggest that we get photos of, if you know for sure the addresses, try to bring that to the next meeting too, so that we can add that to this list, even if it might not be already surveyed or whatever. That's it.
All righty. Anything else? Comments, questions, suggestions?
Mr. President, at our last meeting, nope, I lied. At the subcommittee meeting we had with Jody and Hillary and I, we talked about looking at establishing set committee roles for commission members. So some of these projects that we want to tackle, like the photo project, or like working with planning to develop criteria for the development applications, or nominations to the registry, or a partnership with Idaho State Historical Society. There's kind of a variety of projects that we talk about that, or even like Preservation Month, that potentially if we broke them down into committees and assigned each commission member with a role on a separate committee, we might be able to get a greater number of projects accomplished, because we won't have a quorum in the same way, so the work can continue, and then decisions can be made on the record and that type of a thing. But I think that we just talked about how a lot of us maybe have more bandwidth, I think, to take on a couple more actively really engage with some of these, and maybe doing it through a committee might be a good way to do that. And we talked about potentially discussing what those committees could be, or what the roles could be, at the June meeting or the July meeting, depending on how long the agenda gets. And so if you are open-minded to that, I can kind of brainstorm and look at what like City of Boise does, or even at the state level, just some other agencies that we could kind of look at how they organize that. And then City of Meridian has some for, like the Arts Commission has one, the Parks Commission has one, Solid Waste Advisory has them, where they have these kind of separate groups. So maybe looking at mirroring that organizational structure for this group as well, so we could get a little bit more done this year if we wanted.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. Then I'm gonna go forward.
Go forward.
I'm gonna go forward. And then, Hillary, maybe we can talk offline, and if June starts looking like it's gonna be long or lengthy, or we don't have a quorum, I feel like summertime is when it gets tricky to get people here, it's just busier. If we need to bump it out or whatever, we can kind of talk offline and figure out the best time to do that, but is that about, did I cover it?
I think so.
Okay,
All right.
that's it.
Well, then we'll plan on June.
Okay.
If we have a quorum, and if the agenda isn't too lengthy.
Are all of you able June 27th at this point?
As far as I know.
Okay, great. Perfect.
All righty. Then our next meeting will be June 27th, 2019 at 4:30 here at lovely Meridian City Hall. So, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Neri, seconded by Commissioner Alt for adjournment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Further discussion? Motion carries. Thank you.